foods, which are just minimum compliance with basic constitutional requirements.
All right, Dr. I want to engage you, but before that, let's listen to Raila Odinga on the authing.
Tarehe 30 tumesema na haturudi nyuma mara hii tena. Sawa? Anasema ati itakuwa ni treason, ati high treason ambaye ina hukumu ya kunyongwa, ati hao jela maisha. Hatuwezi kutishwa na mambo ati tunashtakiwa na treason. Mimi ni tayari nimeshakuwa treason, nimekuwa miezi 6 nikishtakiwa na treason. Kwa hivyo ikiwa kama ni the right of the people of Kenya, if it is called for a sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice that must be paid, so that Kenyans can be free, so that Kenyans can have free and fair elections, then we're ready to pay it.
Dr. I want you to comment on that clip right there.
Look, you see I'm one of the people who came out publicly opposing the use of strong terms like treason in trying to address a bigger political question. So I don't think that Kenya will one day prosecute Raila on treason and all that. We've moved away from that. But just to kind of comment on what my colleagues here have talked about, look, Uhuru has a duty to dialogue as a president, but importantly, because of the broader national interest. And this is not something that should necessarily be begged for. This is something that, in terms of somebody controlling instruments of the state, it's important that then he engages all stakeholders. I have listened to several colleagues outside of the media talking about strict compliance with the law and stuff like that. In scholarly world, we call it legal formalism. Basically, because the Constitution says that the president has to be, for example, rerun has to be done in 60 days. It has to be done regardless of the circumstances. Or the Constitution says once the president-elect is sworn in, that is the end of political process. We have to move on. All that is good for public order, but only if the president is actually in control. Only if the opposition does not have capacity to sabotage the president and sabotage the government for that matter. And only if it does not negate the basic principles upon which the country is founded. So legal formalism is good, but we should not overemphasize the fact that in a country that's as polarized as Kenya, we always need to do what Mr. Gola here is saying, innovate around the constitutional provisions. And innovation is not about restructuring them. It's about appreciating that certain aspects are not working. Institutions like IEBC are totally compromised. Police brutality is a reality. And you cannot say you're having free and fair and democratic elections when, the police are the main purveyors of violence and stuff like that. So on that basis alone, yes, we've moved away from the elections of 8th and the 27th, but people haven't moved on from the injustices around that election. And so the dialogue that everyone is talking about ought to address these very basic things that if we don't address at the moment, will obviously recur in 2022. And if you avoid this kind of discussions, then the history has it that those who are the biggest defenders of injustices at the moment